Would you like to feel like you have your workspace, home space, and life optimized? Today we do that through Feng Shui. Jane, hi, how are you?
Hi, Alex. I'm great, thank you.
That's
Wonderful,
good. I
wonderful to
am
be
so
here.
excited to talk Feng Shui. It's been actually quite a few years. And as I was reading your book, I thought there's this beautiful journey that I know we're going to be taking our guests on today, which is from the things we think Feng Shui is to the bigger picture of how it can impact our entire lives and the energy we bring, but as well, kind of noticing the energy that we're allowing in. And I was thinking about where on earth do we start? And I want to start with something really basic that comes up so much on the internet, which is clutter.
Yeah,
And this is kind of where a lot of people start to wake up to, oh, I feel better when things are clear and my space is free and it feels more flowy and I feel more calm going into it. So it's almost like this is like the gateway into understanding the bigger picture of feng shui. Can you talk to us about how powerful those little realizations we have are, but how we can actually use them to tap into the bigger picture?
yeah. Well, clutter is the accumulation of objects that you don't need, use, or love, and it creates blockages in your life. It's
Mm,
like the big obstacle from a feng shui perspective to creating that flow and abundance in your life. So, clutter is one of the easiest fixes. Clearing clutter is one of the easiest fixes that anyone can do to improve the energy in their lives and to improve their feng shui.
mm. And so often, like especially if you're a low toxer, you can think, oh, but I don't want to throw things away. Things go to landfill. And, you have the sustainability piece. And I've always been
Yeah,
of the opinion that there may be that first time where you go, ah, we've actually got too much stuff and we don't need to live like this.
yeah,
But as long as we're not binge purge cycling stuff and we're actually realizing it's about living with less and more intentional choices, that kind of for me solves the problem in the long term because we're all thinking less and best is the goal.
absolutely. And I think some people feel that they can't get rid of things, but if you look at it from the perspective of if it's sitting there on my in my cupboard and it's not being used, there's somebody out there who could actually get utility out of it, who could
Mm,
actually benefit from it. And so it's much better just to move it on, whether it be through selling or giving away donations. So that can be a way to get over that whole, that whole thing about sticking your possessions into landfill, which we
absolutely.
definitely don't want to do if possible.
Exactly right. And so you were an accountant. I think of accountants as like very meticulous, kind of everything's very neat. Do you feel like that was one of the reasons Feng Shui spoke to you as a massive pivot in your own life?
Well, the thing was that, to be honest, I am not a naturally neat person.
Okay.
So when I was a kid, I remember parent teacher night in year three. My dad came and met my teacher, and she pulled the under desk out of my in my in this classroom and said, "This is the messiest kid I've ever taught in my life."
Oh my gosh. I think we had very similar primary. I remember my homework in year one being held up in front of the whole class, and I kept making this mistake and I kept rubbing it out, and there was a hole in the paper. And it got like paraded in front of everybody as to what not to do because that was just so messy. And I felt so ashamed. I really wish that some of these adults that really get it wrong with kids knew just how much we remember those stories like
Yeah.
decades later.
I think it's pretty funny though, considering where I've come to now.
Yeah,
And so
right.
I really feel the energy. So when I was a teenager, my room was a big dump, and and that is sort of common amongst teenagers because it reflects the state of your mind at that time when you're in
Mm,
flux. And so I know that when I cleaned my environment, that I felt so much better, so much more organized. I had better, calmer, more creativity, and life just seemed to flow a lot better
It
when
makes you
I.
feel happy, doesn't
It
it?
does, it does. So it's normal to build clutter around you, I guess, for a lot of people. And
Mm.
it's just about having the tools to know what to do to clear it and how good it can make you feel when you've done that. Sometimes people need a bit of help.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I
Yeah,
know as someone with ADHD, I definitely have always found it very hard to clean. But if I sort of body double, like if my husband and I are doing the house at the same time, or I'm on the phone to a girlfriend on speaker and I'm folding the lawn, like I have found ways to make it more motivating for me to do.
yeah,
And I would now consider myself a pretty organized, clean person, always on top of my laundry. Like 17-year-old Alex would never have dreamed that that could have been a possibility. But I
yeah.
do think the motivation is the space, the sense of calm that you get from order. Um, uh, and and so what, like, let's just say someone's got that cupboard. How do they start? What should they be channeling to start to think, okay, this is really going to be worth it? Because everyone's got that cupboard or that corner in the garage that they're just never going to look at.
Well, I think just start. Don't overthink it.
Mm,
Open the cupboard and just give yourself, say, 5 minutes and think, okay, I'm just going to do 5 minutes today and just start. And often what you find is that it creates its own energy, just
mm,
that action. And then you often want to do more. So if you just commit to a little block of time, I think you'll find that it's going to make a big impact. And
huge.
and just and if you focus on spaces that you use most often, like your bedside table, for example, I think that's a really good place to start, or your entrance. So being intentional about the spaces that really impact you. It could be your study desk.
Mm. And the entrance that you mentioned, this
Yeah,
is a very key part of the home in Feng Shui. Can you
that's
take
right.
us through why we should be focusing on optimizing the entrance? I'm looking at the entrance of our apartment right now, and it's kind of where we dump all our bags
Yeah,
and shoes. Is
yes.
that okay? What should we be doing to kind of sort that out a little bit? And what are we missing out on potentially by having a bit of a dumpy entrance?
So the entrance is known in feng shui as your gateway to wealth. So you want to make sure that it's
Okay.
it's clear of obstacles where you can. So just finding places to put those things, landing zones
Mm.
for the shoes and for the bags and so forth would be that are orderly is makes a big difference.
So
So
we have it in a little organizer shelf. Is that kind of at least something?
absolutely it helps.
Okay.
But if you think about opening your door and seeing sort of shoes scattered around, it won't feel as good as if things are organized and you open the door and the first thing you see is a beautiful artwork or flowers or a lovely focal point that draws the energy in rather than sort of mess.
Okay. No, I'm loving that because I'm literally looking at this situation right now and I'm thinking we could move. Is the snake plant a good one to have at an entrance?
Well,
You
the
know, that
snake,
kind of.
yeah, in general, the snake plant is good because it's very good for recycling indoor air.
Mm.
So
Well, that's why I love them. Yeah.
yeah, and if you love the snake plant, absolutely. So it's about you.
So it's
It's a,
actually about what you love as well and bringing a bit of
yeah,
that into your entrance.
that's right, and it's what you connect with too. So if you've got an artwork that your husband thinks is beautiful, but you hate it, then you're going to bring a bit of a negative vibe into your space when you walk in. So it's important to have something that you can also connect with.
Hmm. Oh, I love that because
Yeah.
yes, my husband actually just recently put up an artwork that for me feels cheap. I hope he doesn't see this.
Maybe he
um,
needs to.
yeah, maybe he needs to, but like I can see that the print itself is on a really thin piece of paper and it's kind of like buckled. It's a
Oh,
beautiful picture of a Shetland cow, actually. So it's a stunning photograph, but it just feels cheap, and that's at our entrance.
but you
So
know what? You might be able to get that fixed if you have a good framer.
exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and I'm pretty handy with framing myself. So maybe we actually need to just put some effort into it so it feels nice.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And then you'll feel better when you walk in.
And so it almost feels trivial to talk about that, Jane. Can you help us see how these things really aren't trivial?
Well, small changes in your environment can actually create powerful shifts in your life.
Mm,
So, if you walk into your home feeling positive, it's going to have a knock on effect to how you treat your family, how you
mm,
react to your children, how you work.
yeah.
So, really important to get that energy aligned in your environment.
Yeah. Okay. And so the entrance, it's about things we love, it's about order, it's about
I,
um
I think the whole home is about things that you love,
mm, yeah, that's a lot of work.
things that you at least that you like or love it that don't bring you a negative vibe
Mm,
is one of the golden rules in Feng Shui. So we don't want to have things like unwanted items or gifts that somebody has given you that you feel like you need to display out of, uh, so that you don't offend the other person.
mm,
So it's just
yeah.
making the space for you that
And so
helps
how
you.
does that work in a family where, you've got kids in the mix and you think, gosh, like let's just say you've got little kids and God, I can't see another Wiggles, outfit or tambourine or something, or you've got teenagers and they just can't be clean. It's very hard for their brains. I get that, and so you constantly got stuff around. And that can actually make you like I have actually, oh God, do I have to pick up another pair of socks? Really? And but we cohabitate. That's a part of our nature as well. So how do we balance those two things?
Well, I think you can train people. You can train them from when they're young.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got young kids, like when my kids were young, I used to just get them to make their little beds every
Mm,
day and not let the mess get too overwhelming. So unfortunately, well, for me, I had to be onto them. Go and clean your room, please,
mm,
and use something as leverage, like the iPad or
yeah.
something that or TV. As they get older, and habits are habits become, part of their part of their life. It can become a bit harder, but just helping them to do a big spring clean can reset the energy in a space.
And I
And
think key is you said help. So
yes,
often people just bark a command and expect a kid to do that. But we now know, I think Maggie Dent's done an amazing job of helping us understand our kids better, that if it isn't a priority for them, it's actually very hard for them to escalate it in their brains.
yeah.
And so it's actually completely normal for them to either do a terrible job or to completely forget to do it. And it's not that they hate you or they're trying to go against you. And I think just actually helping them get started, or as we sometimes do, we just do the whole thing and it's done in 10 minutes.
and
um,
and also making it easy.
mm,
So having a bed that's easy to make rather than something that is
yes.
elaborate
Mm,
helps. And having less stuff, I guess, is better as well, because the less stuff you have, the less mess there is to clean up.
yeah,
And storage
absolutely.
solutions too, obviously.
Mm. Okay, storage solutions. Yes, this
So
is key. So talk
yeah.
to us about what you mean there.
So you mentioned having little kids. What I used to do, my kids are now teenagers, but I had storage solutions in the living spaces. So I would have beautiful baskets where we could just throw the toys in and close it, and the place still feels like a calm environment,
Mm.
or built-in sort of drawers in the TV area where they could put their toys in. So it was like they could play and then have a designated place to put things.
Yeah. If things don't have a spot, it's even easy, if it's even harder to feel calm.
Yes, definitely.
Mm.
And quite often kids are not really playing with all of their stuff anyway.
Yeah.
And so you can put things on rotation, have a big box where you can pack pack it away and then
Mm.
bring it out and it's like you've got a new toy again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so true. The old toy
Yeah.
rotation trick. My mum-in-law taught me that one. Now, I know you trained with grandmasters in
Yes.
Asia, and I'm curious to see what you think that level of exposure, experience got you that helps you help so many people now.
Well, there are certain guidelines that are standard that you can apply to different homes, like especially when it comes to the physical space and the arrangements. For example, let's say it's best to have your bed against a solid wall in the space that's diagonally opposite the door.
Mm,
Okay, so where the energy is most contained. So things like that are kind of standard guidelines. But there's another level that you can go to with feng shui, and that's where you analyze the energy map of a home. And that's where a home has a energetic map that's like a horoscope that indicates how supportive the energy is for wealth, for harmony, health, and relationships. And you can do things using the five elements that are used in Chinese metaphysics. And those
mm,
five elements are fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And each of those elements relates to a particular color, shape, and material. And you can use those elements and you can use the art of arrangement and physical layouts to amplify positive energy and enhance the positive energy zones where you can and reduce the impact of the negative. So feng shui can operate at a deep level as well and not just the superficial with placement. Although having said that, the general guidelines that I talk about with relation to clutter and physical arrangements are still very powerful as well.
mm. And so, can you talk us through maybe a like a job where you go out and you assess things? And I was also thinking like it'd be really cool for me to share my screen for anyone watching on YouTube and like look at a floor plan and see how you would analyze it, for example.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would have actually analyzed the floor plan before I go out on site and have a look at, well, where are the beds placed?
Mm,
um, what are the favorable directions of the occupants? So I would analyze the birth dates of the occupants and see, well, where's the best place for them to sit in terms of their office? Where's the best place for their to be aligned in terms of their best directions?
yeah.
And also start analyzing that energy map. So looking at things like the orientation of the building, which
Hmm.
way it's facing to the degree, look at the age that the building was constructed, and also the floor plan. So all of those all of those variables uh,
Mm,
create that energy map. And then what I would do is come out on site, speak to the client, look at the physical arrangements, so see where there are opportunities to improve the flow, to
yeah.
reduce the obstacles through the home. We might there might be some challenges like the front door is in direct alignment with the back door. Okay, well, what can we do to slow that energy down and create that meandering energy flow? So it's about maximizing the space that we have and
Yeah.
not making people feel bad about it or think, oh, I don't want to have anything to do with feng shui because I've heard that the front door shouldn't be aligned with the back door and therefore I'm just going to ignore it and not think about it. Um,
Yeah, and that's such a good point because just because something isn't ideal or you watch some feng shui account on Instagram say, oh, you never want to live near XYZ, and then you think,
yeah,
but we do, and this is our entire life savings in this place.
yeah.
There's still a lot you can do to then work with spaces, right?
There's so much you can do.
Mm,
And some people, and that's a little bit of a problem with our industry in that there's a lot of fear and superstition associated with feng shui. But
yeah.
really, it should be about empowerment and creating an uplifting environment to help you feel good about your space so that you can operate at your highest level.
Yeah, love that. And so can I share a couple of house plants?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just going to share my screen because I think this would be a really cool way. I just randomly looked at something online to quickly get something up here.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so let's just say someone was looking at this. I think it's a, I did this so quickly, a
3 bedroom unit.
three-bedroom unit.
Yep.
And it looks like if it's number 18 of three, it's probably on an elevated floor.
Yes.
What would we be looking at here that would be worth making sure of if this was where we lived?
Okay, so as I look at the energy flow of when you walk in. So as you walk in, there's a wall opposite
Mhm.
the front entrance,
Right here.
which
Yeah.
yeah, which is great. So on that wall, we want to have something like a beautiful focal point, a lovely could be a console table with some
Hmm.
lovely ornaments or a lovely artwork that draws the energy inside. Not a mirror because we don't want to have the mirror directly opposite the entrance because that reflects
Good tip.
energy and opportunities back out again.
Hmm.
In terms of the sorts of colors and elements that you'd use, well, that's dependent on the energy map of the home, and that's something that I can't tell just by looking at the floor plan alone. So that would require a deeper level of analysis. But
Mm.
walking through the place, the I guess you've got that sort of uh, contained area where the energy
Hmm.
can settle in the
Hmm.
entrance, and then
Yeah, there's
the
quite a bit, isn't there? That's
there is
quite
a lot,
a
and
lot.
normally, so this is an older unit by the looks of it,
Yeah, it looks
because
like it.
normally you would
No
have a
one
unit.
builds a foyer this big in unit land anymore.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. Normally you would open it up and then you'd see the living and the dining spaces straight
Mm.
away, or the kitchen. So yeah, you this is very there are a lot of compartments here and uh, little bit enclosed, I guess.
And is
So
that good or bad in Feng Shui?
well, the question is depending on okay, let's have a look at the orientation there. So it's about making sure that we've got that natural light and the airflow.
Hmm.
So it may be there may be some dark spots
Mm.
in the
Yeah,
home.
because I'm looking at bedroom one and I'm thinking that's the north facing
Yeah,
side
and
and
you've got
it's
a
got
big
a
wardrobe.
wardrobe,
You've got
not
a
a
big
window.
wardrobe.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you know what? The thing is that feng shui is best incorporated at the time of building and design,
Yeah.
looking at the design concept rather than when
Yeah.
it's done. But there are still things that you can do. And so in that bedroom one where that wardrobe is is located, that's the place where I would actually put the bed if we could,
Okay.
because
Right.
that's the area where the energy is most contained. And for those who are listening on the podcast, that's the area that is the space that's diagonally opposite the door.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we'd want the bed where the wardrobe is. And this kind
yeah,
of speaks to bringing in some expertise when you're considering a renovation and thinking like,
yeah.
how much bang can we get for our buck? What's the minimum we could do to create the maximum amount of positive shift for this home as well?
That's right.
Mm,
So I would say that where the bed is located in this bedroom one would be along the same side as the door.
mm.
Uh, and and so what they've done here in this home is that they've changed the swing of the door so that the door doesn't open directly onto the bed, if you see what I mean.
Yes, absolutely. So,
So
yeah,
when
people are sleeping against this bathroom kind of situation.
yeah,
Their heads would be there and the door's behind them.
the door's behind them. So when somebody if somebody was to open the door, you they wouldn't see you in the bed straight away. You'd have to kind of walk around the door to see the
Mm,
person. And so that's the correct treatment for that sort of bed placement.
How interesting.
Yeah. And but then having said that, having the bed up against the plumbing isn't the best,
Mm,
because if you imagine you're in bed, somebody uses the bathroom, they're flushing the toilet, it's right there, you can hear it.
yeah.
Uh, Not ideal, but have a solid bed head. Have something like an upholstered bed head.
Aha. But this is great because we get into
Yeah,
the details and it illustrates you can always create a solution for what you would think would be like not ideal.
yeah, it can definitely help.
Mm,
So a solid upholstered bed head is helpful
yeah.
in that
What would
situation.
the sensation, like the energy of running water behind your bed while you sleep mean? It
It's
doesn't feel like
draining.
it's good.
No, it's actually draining.
Mm,
Yeah. So if you've got a bathroom, if you're designing a home and you have to have the bathroom behind the bedhead wall, then try and put the plumbing on the other side of the wall if you can.
yeah.
Yeah. So if proximity counts. So the further away things like that are from you, the less impact it has.
Ah, so like EMFs, and a lot of low
Yes,
toxers would
that's right.
understand that. Yes.
Absolutely. So EMFs are a big issue that I come across when I'm looking at homes, because quite often in that main bedroom, you've got the meter box
Mm,
behind the bedhead wall. And so
mm-hmm,
the only option there really is just move away from it,
mm-hmm.
even if it's not in the optimal feng shui position. I always prioritize those physical challenges and those physical threats that might impact somebody's health.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you see yourself working with a lot of people that have health issues and helping to optimize their homes for that?
It's a real mix.
Mm,
So I do work with people who want to improve their vitality and their energy, or those that are just looking to uh, just looking to operate at their highest level.
mm,
And I even work with those who are businesses who are looking to appeal to that feng shui conscious audience.
yeah. And so in a vitality energy situation, we would have a lot of women who've either got little kids or midlifers who are dealing with the aging parents and the teens and their own changes in life, which is just
Yeah,
one of the most strange design flaws of biology that I can see. That's a challenging time. And so, what are some of the gains that we can make to assess what our home is doing to impact our vitality? And I think this is kind of where we can go a bit bigger on the understanding of feng shui, like the lifestyle stack
yeah,
considerations.
absolutely. Well, I'm all about living the feng shui lifestyle, and I found
Mm,
that since I started doing that a number of years ago, that things shifted for me.
yeah.
I became, became more patient with my kids. Things didn't bother me as much as I
Mm,
used to, as they used to. Probably less anxiety, less worry, and they were things that to do with looking at the energy in my surroundings and how to manage that energy.
mm-hmm,
So looking at the house and how I can maximize that energy flow, but also what am I listening to on in the media? What am I
mm,
watching? Who are the people that I'm surrounded with? What sort of books am I consuming? What sort of food am I eating? How am I activating the energy in my own body?
mm,
And all of those things really are very important to how you navigate those issues like menopause, for example, which is something that I'm going through,
yeah.
and how that can impact you,
Yeah, for
and
sure.
the symptoms. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, what are some of the things that you can step us through that you did? Like you looked at something, you thought, okay, I'm going to change that. You recognize that that wasn't working. You wanted to bring this in. Can you step us through the details? Because I know people are going to be like, but what did she do?
Well, there are a lot of things. So if I think about the habit stacking that I do,
Mm.
One of the first things that I do is affirmations and gratitude journaling. So I don't know if you've spoken about that on your
Of
podcast before.
course, but you can talk about it some more because I don't
Yeah,
think we can hear it enough. I mean, the evidence is so huge now,
yes.
and people trivialize it, and yet it can be one of the most powerful, impactful things that we can bring in.
So thinking about three things that I'm grateful for, or if I'm feeling anxious about something, bring it back to, okay, well, what do I have that I can be grateful for? And there's so much. And I write that down. So three
Mm,
things that I'm grateful for in the morning. I do affirmations, which are these powerful statements that that affirm where I want to be in life, or where what I've got, where I am. And I have a list of affirmations that I record and that I
mm.
read and play back to myself.
Oh, wow.
And I do that before I meditate.
Mm,
And so my meditation I do in bed. I put the big pillow behind me in silence, and I just stick my legs out. And after I've done my gratitude and my affirmations, I'm in a really good state. And then I do that for 20 minutes,
mm,
which is an optimal time to meditate. And just focusing on breath and letting the thoughts pass. So it doesn't have to be an absence of thought, just letting the thoughts pass, but keep bringing it back to breath. And I feel like if I think of my mind as a snow globe that's all shaken up, I
yeah.
feel like meditation just brings it all down.
Mm,
And I feel like meditation has helped me to manifest more of what I want to achieve in life.
mm,
And then after that, I do exercise. So it's a really there's a lot. So I do get up fairly early to be able to do all that. And you don't have to do everything all in one go, but that is what works for me. So exercise for me is varied. It often involves going to the gym and doing weights, or going for a run, or going for a walk, and listening to inspirational podcasts or audiobooks to get
mm,
more, flood myself with that, more of that positivity and things that I can learn from. And that is how I manage my energy. I also have a playlist of music that is really uplifting as well, and that has lyrics that help me to feel empowered.
mm.
So
I
I
love
listen
that
to
you
that when I'm
mentioned
on a run.
lyrics.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I think we can often not realize how much negativity we're taking in. Even with TV shows, I'm very intentional about what I allow, and it's often quite light and comedic.
yeah,
And not that I'm scared of reality. I live in the world. There's plenty of reality around, but I genuinely believe we need balancing. And so even at times of stress, don't then stack that with a stressful, tense, violent show. If you want
yes,
some downtime, make it
exactly.
light and funny and remind yourself in your body that you can be light and have fun. Because I think that's something I teach my chronic illness coaching clients all the time. Like, okay, so when was the last time you watched a comedy? And if you think about Instagram, how many people are you following that have mold toxicity and mold toxicity advice versus comedians that just make you practically wet yourself because they are hilarious and remind you that life can be light, because we need the reminders to actually then become light. I genuinely believe that.
I always bring this back to managing the energy around you. So look at your kitchen, for example, and have open your pantry and think about what have I got stored in there, and how is the energy in my kitchen affecting my
Mm.
health?
Talk to me about that. What do you mean?
Well, I think creating a no-fail environment, Dr. Phil calls it a no-fail environment,
Mm,
is something that impacts your health. So if you don't have the junky junky sort of processed stuff in your house, it
mm,
makes it so much harder for you to get it and eat it.
Well, it's like James Clear in what was
Atomic
that?
habits.
Atomic Habits.
Yes.
And he talks about like put your running shoes on top of the toilet
Yes.
seat lid, so that when you wake up to pee in the morning, you literally have to remove the running shoes from the loo and then think, okay, go on, then I'll put them on. And it's like
Yeah,
so much, you're creating the environment where the logical choice is the success you seek.
and that's very much how I operate. So
Mm,
I get my gym gear ready the night before and put it out so that there's one less decision to be made.
mm,
So it's about making life easy, and you can do that through the way you arrange your spaces and how you how you operate your your routines.
mm-hmm. And so, can we drill down to illness a little bit? Only because we
Yep.
do have, well, and not even just illness, but I think menopause is really interesting as well, and symptom presentation, either being severe or light. Some people breeze through, and some people have a really tough time of it. 1 in 4 women get frozen shoulders, for example. And chronic illness, I mean, the stats are awful.
Yeah.
What can we learn from feng shui to actually gear our spaces for health, for a sense of lightness, for things not weighing us down so easily or getting to us so quickly, from a physical perspective?
I think clearing stagnant energy
Mm,
is something that a lot of people can really do, and that's things like moving the bed and getting rid of that dust under there.
yeah.
Clearing the bedroom and the kitchen have the biggest impact on your health. So the bedroom is number one because you're spending most of your time in your room, even if you're sleeping, being affected by the energy around you. So have a look at what's going on under your bed. Have you got things under there that you can clear out? Look at things like what's in your cupboards. Have Is the place ventilated well?
Mm,
Have you got natural light coming in? So creating a healthy space for you to sleep in, and where you can, making sure that things are clean
mm.
is are the big sort of ticket items that you can do to really support your health.
Yeah. And coming back to the floor plan we looked at before, and how sometimes it's actually hard to get natural light into places.
Yes.
Um, I think I'm just going to give a plug. I never do this in the show, but it really is a great product,
Yep.
from Block Blue Light, where they've got the full spectrum light globes that you can turn on to mirror the spectrum of the day, like morning through to day, through to evening and night, by flicking the switch each time. And that can be really helpful in environments where it's not naturally happening. Because I think the theme I'm getting from what you're saying, Jane, is even when things might not be ideal, we can optimize a different way, and we can shift things around a different way.
Connecting to nature is something that's also really
Mm,
important as well. So if you have got a window that you can open and you can see some trees, that's fantastic. If you can't in your home, then plants are a great option. Even decorating with biophilic elements like uh, timber, natural elements, wood,
mm.
things like that. Even the color green helps you to feel more calm.
Love that.
Yeah.
And plastic plants, potpourri. Like just from reading like a Cosmo article on Feng Shui when I was like a teenager, I remember thinking, oh, we can't have dead things or fake things in our home. Is that true?
Well, I tend to avoid dead dried plants because that
Hmm.
represents dead energy.
What about
Artif
dried herbs in our kitchen?
Well, they serve a purpose.
Mm.
Yeah, I
Ah,
don't
so they're actually being used, and they're in,
yeah.
well, as long as they're not sitting at the back of a cupboard for 5 years, then that is dead energy, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're
Okay.
being used, and they're adding to our vitality because you're using them in cooking.
Mm,
So I don't have a problem with dried herbs. I've got plenty of dried herbs in my own cupboard. But things like plastic, you mentioned the fake plants, not ideal because they're bringing the energy of something that they're pretending to be.
mm,
But um, they do have a place because where you can't afford to have fresh flowers all the time, or you want to create that sense of bringing a bit of nature into a home, they do serve a purpose, and it's fine. Make sure, as long as you like them
yeah.
and
Okay.
you keep them free of dust, and so that they're not all manky and collecting stagnant energy.
Okay, great tips. Because I think we can hear these blanket things in a newspaper article somewhere and just then accept that as fact.
I don't think I saw a client recently who had some artificial flowers in one of the spaces in their home, and the colors actually suited the energy map that we were looking to sort of enhance,
Mm-hmm.
and it was fine. They looked beautiful. The client loved them, and I didn't tell them to take it away.
Yeah,
I
okay.
thought it was okay. Of course, it's best to have fresh flowers because they bring
Mm,
that vital energy. You can smell them if they're you use your five senses. They feel beautiful, but there's still a place for artificial plants, and I don't.
mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love that we're arriving at this place where it's not black and white, and there's always something you can do. And it can depend on how you feel, and it can depend on what you have access to. That's awesome.
it always depends.
It always depends. I'm
Yeah.
I'm a big non-black and white person as well. It always depends. Jane, if you could recommend one thing for us all to tune into as we wrap up and start to think about what would I like to change about my home? What's something that's almost felt like a stagnant point in me when I look at it, it gives it the shits when I, you know, what would you say would be the easiest thing for us to feel happier and calmer in our spaces from today if we gave it a little time?
I really think clutter is just the biggest
Mm,
ticket item.
that's where we started.
It really is. But if you want to do something really easy, open your windows and doors and let that fresh energy into your home.
Mm,
Yeah, and give it a
okay.
good clean as well. Really
Mm,
simple things, but not always easy to easy to do. Simple concepts, not always easy to do.
yeah. But I've learnt from you in this chat that if you do find it hard to give it a good clean, put on some nice music, make yourself a lovely beverage,
That's
and
right.
get yourself in a mood where things are great. And so cleaning is great.
Well, I think with cleaning, if you stack that with listening to an inspirational podcast or audiobook,
Mm, yeah.
you're doing something for your environment and you're also doing something for your inner energy and your mindset.
Yes, absolutely. And the let them theory from Mel Robbins might
Oh,
actually be a really good one for everybody to clean
I
their house
love that
too.
book. I
I
love
know,
that
me
book. It's
too. It was my
fantastic.
favorite book of the summer.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jane. I mean, there are plenty of ways that people can connect with your work. Your book is so approachable. I just found it so easy to just pick up tips, but also not feel bad about anything that wasn't ideal. And I really appreciate that about your spin on this whole thing, because people can feel like, oh, that if I learn about that, it's going to have to be this strict way of arranging my house.
Yeah.
And that's not what Feng Shui is about at its essence. So I really appreciate you opening our eyes to the bigger picture today.
You're welcome. It's so great to be here and share my tips on feng shui.
Thank you. I hope you loved today's show as much as I loved bringing it to you. I want to remind you that if you are someone who craves a low tox community that is judgment free, full of empowerment, has health professionals and building health professionals that can support you, as well as me in there answering questions multiple times a week, I want to invite you to join the Low Tox Club. For the price of less than a cup of coffee a month, you have an annual membership for $49 Australian, so it's about $30 US or euro, that allows you to have a member masterclass every single month with a health professional or global expert from the podcast, where we have them to ourselves for an hour to ask questions and deep dive further. You have the beautiful supportive chat group. You have Q&As with me answering questions. We read books and talk about them, and a whole bunch more. You can head to lowtoxlife.com, hit the explore tab and join the club. Club is the very first option on that list. Of course, we have over 10 evergreen courses that you can jump into anytime, whether it's navigating everyday low tox swaps with our Go Low Tox signature course, whether you have kids and you're wanting to know how to best support them with our Low Tox Kids course, whether you're planning a family and looking at a healthy low tox preconception journey, reducing inflammation, especially the chronic kind, with our Inflammation Ninja course, many other courses. You can again head to lowtoxlife.com, hit the courses tab, and you'll see all of the options, which includes a business course, my Low Tox Method program. A lot of people don't know, but I was doing a lot before starting Low Tox Life in 2009, and I was a business consultant across hospitality, health, retail, and cosmetics. I have been in business consulting for a very long time, so I absolutely adore helping people move into the low tox space or develop their low tox businesses. So that's a way I can support you. And then, of course, there's our wonderful social media communities at Low Tox Life on Instagram, and of course, the website with over 250 gluten-free recipes, blogs, downloadable PDFs to help you navigate wanting to get rid of synthetic fragrances in your school or office. I could go on. So head to lowtoxlife.com, see what takes your interest or fancy, and thank you so much for being a part of our podcast community. I love reading your reviews. I appreciate every follow and subscribe, and I want to just remind you to finish off that if there's anything you heard that you found interesting from a medical or scientific perspective, it is intended as education only. Please always chat to a health professional who knows you and your situation best. I'll see you next week. Bye.